folks, welcome to another episode of Arcane Assist. As mentioned before, we're back. We're excited to be recording again, and I am joined this week by Jason. How's it going, Jay?
Not bad, Tim. How are you doing?
Jay, as canny listeners will note, is of the Battle Driven podcast and a frequent contributor to Arcane Assist. We're happy to have him back on the channel.
Why, thank you. Glad to be back.
Sweet. So we're going to show off some pretty cool models here. We're playing a matchup that I'm excited to play. I get to play some Circle again. I haven't played Circle on the channel in ages, and I have selected to play in the Call of the Wild theme. I'm playing Tanith with her character beast Loki. Then I also have a Feral, a Stalker, and a Pureblood, so the full complement of Warpwolves. My free pieces available in the theme are Unit of Shifting Stones, Gallows Grove, Lanyssa Ryssyl is my Merc choice, and I also have Swamp Grubber Bellow Cruise. But then I have a free Blackclad and Druid Wilder, right, of course. I was like, another piece, and why am I forgetting it? We'll get to that in a few minutes. The rest of my battle group includes Gnarlhorn Satyr, which I think is a really neat piece with Tanith, which we'll talk about a little bit more. I also have a Gorax for secondary access to that Primal Animus, and a Scarsfell Griffon. And Jay, do you want to talk about your list a little bit?
Did you mention the Swamp Grubber Bellows crew?
Yeah, I mentioned it. I've got Lanyssa and a Swamp Grubber Bellows crew.
My list, I am taking Ashlynn. And before people get really excited, I'm taking her in irregulars. So I have Ashlynn with double Mariners. Yes, I love Mariners. A Mangler and a Nomad. I also have 4 free solos, which are Alten Ashley, Hutchuk, Kell, and Master Gunner Dougal MacNaile. He's pretty key for running the double Mariners. I have Selena and the Nyss, a full unit of Forge Guard, 2 Eliminator units, and Blythe and Bull.
Kind of a neat irregulars list. Definitely feels all over the place. We rolled off, and with my +1 to go first theme benefit, I won the die roll. And without further ado, we'll jump right into the game.
Does it help that I rolled a 1?
It does. It sure does. It means I didn't even have to roll the die.
So the terrain on the table is towards the top, we have an obstruction, and then we have a woods. There's a long trench on Tim's side of the field.
It's a trench network.
A trench network.
Yeah.
Forest in the middle of the table. On my side of the table, you see a really strategically placed wall, which is why I took this side, because I wanted to deny Tim the wall after he won the roll. Towards the bottom, there's a water in the one zone, and then a rubble in just outside of my normal deployment zone.
Yeah, a couple of quick shout-outs. We should mention we were playing this at our local gaming store at Black Knight Games in Hamilton, Ontario. Awesome shop. And also that this is the terrain set that was produced by Ian, who's a friend of the cast and regular at the shop. Really nice set. Really showcases that notion of kind of the 2.5D terrain, stuff that's very, very playable, really kind of focused on having good tournament presence, but also has a really kind of like visual appearance to it. Like you can really see a lot of what's going on with the terrain.
And he asked a really good question on Battle Driven this week. It led to some really interesting discussion.
Huh. Ian asked a really good Battle Driven question. That's cool. I thought that was my thing.
It's also your thing. Yours just melt our brains.
Was this one good? I can't even remember if I asked one this week.
You did ask one this week. I had to prompt you, though.
Oh, well. Folks should listen to Battle Driven to hear that question. It's fun asking cool questions to podcasts.
This week you asked us if any of our other wargaming experience has contributed to our play.
Yeah. That was a good question.
One of my...
I didn't even say wargaming experience.
No, you said gaming.
Actually,
it's funny because I said one of my...
Actually, I think I just said competitive experience. I was thinking maybe you'd go football.
Actually, I went poker.
Okay, nice. That's a good one.
With tells and with...
Yeah. That's cool. Folks should listen to that episode. This is going to come out kind of desynchronized because we're trying to build up a bit of a batch of recording before I head off to my father's funeral in BC. So we may end up releasing this well after that Battle Driven episode has come out. Anyway, we should talk quickly about the nature of the deployment here. As I mentioned before, my list includes Blackclad and Lanyssa. I put them kind of on opposite sides of each other. I'm planning to deploy the stones so the Blackclad can kind of use their teleportation early. The Satyr has a really neat interaction with Tanith. She can put Admonition on it, and it has Counterslam. And then in this theme list, it can cast its Animus for free every turn. So it can be I can't be knocked down, and if you try to come engage me, I'll back off and then slam you piece, which is kind of neat. I've always liked that in a sort of budget heavy. I think it gets a lot of work out of that particular interaction in this list. Otherwise, I'm just playing my favorite Circle Heavies that I played for most of this edition. I think I haven't quite figured out where I want Circle to be competitive play-wise. I think there's a lot of cool tools in the faction, and I think they've got some really neat options. I haven't quite figured out. I think they might very seriously be my puzzle for next year. This was a year that I plan to take Trolls to the WTC. After I get back from that, I may be looking at Circle really hard.
I'm dying to play more Vana 1.
I think in a meta where people do not have RFP available to them in spades, she is maybe one of the best casters in the game.
Yeah, that's my thinking too, and I'm hoping potentially the Tharn CID will really just bring her into a level of her own.
It doesn't have to be much to make her really scary. Like, just bringing back Tharn and having Tharn be even remotely compelling is a very exciting prospect. Anyway, obviously, we've deliberately elected to not play any Tharn, despite having a whole bunch of them, because we're kind of waiting to see where the Tharn CID shakes out and where the sort of finished product settles on. But I anticipate that I will be featuring a number of Tharn lists once that has changed.
And I'm painting up some Cinerators for once the CID officially goes live, so we can put them on the channel.
That's pretty cool. Actually, yeah, I think if the Menoth CID is any indication, CIDs are a very, very tempered response to the game, but I think are making some really positive contributions. Anyway, I basically do a bunch of running this turn. We'll talk about that in a second. Tanith put out Scything Touch on Loki, and she put out Admonition on the Satyr, the one that I talked about already with that cute little Admonition play. Next, the Satyr himself is going to, for free, cast his Earth Blessing Animus, which means he can only trample forward. He's going to spend one to trample into the sort of encircling area of those stones, and then they're going to kind of port him forward. So I'm like, boom, here's a big scary Satyr that can countercharge you, take less table space than you otherwise would. I think there's a few things that I really like about this list. One of them is that the Wilder gives Tanith that free upkeep. It's called Arcane Support now instead of Arcane Assist, which I'm a little personally chided about. That's the thing I'm most mad about the Mark III edition change.
That feels like a dig.
It does, right? Like, that's got to be personal. Tell me, Pagani, if that was personal. It's not his fault. He didn't make that change. That was in the game before he worked in the development team. But there's a handful of models on the War Machine side that have Arcane Assist and that are pretty cool. But they
tell me we can't do some sort of hashtag there, like Pagani screwed Arcane Assist or something like that.
No, I wouldn't dare.
With a smiley face in it.
Will's
or
a delightful human being. I wouldn't want to criticize him that way, especially when I know for a fact it's not his fault. Also, doesn't the Gatorman Boker have Arcane Assist? Or sorry, not the Boker. Pardon me. The Gatorman Soul Slave has Arcane Assist. I think. I thought it was a Horde's War Machine distinction, but now I'm less sure. Anyway, a free upkeep is really useful for Tanith, who's a fairly upkeep-heavy caster. She also appreciates the Fury management and the ability to let her board sort of spread out a little bit more. And the other kind of choices made in the list are mostly about having a really effective battle group that can kind of swing left and swing right a little bit. I'm playing this a little bit like my Borka list.
Yeah, the Gatorman Soul Slave does have Arcane Assist.
Read me the text on Arcane Assist on the Gatorman Soul Slave.
If its Warlock is in this model's command range during your control phase, the Warlock can upkeep one spell without spending Fury.
Okay. It's possible that... So the Warlock has to be in its command range for Arcane Assist, right? That's the way that works. So his command range of only 6, is he on the Soul Slave?
5.
5. So he has to be within 5 inches of your caster to give you that free upkeep. And comparatively, I think this is the distinction. At least I was looking for this to be the distinction. If you have somebody like...
Oh, we just missed me bumping the table.
Oh, well, that's probably good. Let's not draw too much attention to that.
Nothing happened.
Arcane Support. While this model is in its Warlock's control range, the Warlock can upkeep one spell without spending Fury. So Arcane Support is better than Arcane Assist. You can use that soundbite if someone wants to go there and make a podcast called Arcane Support. And it's more effective assuming that your Warlock's control area is larger than the model's command range, which in this case is 6. So Arcane Assist has a tighter tether, and Arcane Support is a sort of broader option, which is kind of good because what the Wilder wants to do is kind of play way off on a flank, like you've seen her. I kind of threw her the Druid Wilders down there next to the Feral, so that she can both remove the Fury from those living war beasts, and also she can serve to use her little 6-inch command bubble to be another reaving bubble for Tanith, who wants to play kind of centrally.
So I'm halfway through moving some of my models, and I realize I don't have dice out.
We're back, guys. Welcome to the channel.
So
A couple of things that are cool about your list, Jay, that I really dig here. So one of them is that your Mariners here are shooting at 16 because you double powder rationed with them, right?
Correct. Range 17.
17. Base 15.
Base 15.
That's a weird range. I guess they're just bizarre models.
Yeah, they're 15-14s.
Yeah, that's a really bizarre kit. AoE 3, 15-14s, and the one. I don't think they've quite activated yet. Or maybe did they just run this turn? I'm trying to look.
No, they had taken their advanced move.
Oh, they took their advanced move. That's where they are. Yeah,
and then that was earlier. So so far
I took a couple shots with Kell into the Satyr, right?
I take a couple shots with Kell into the Satyr. I take a shot with Alten into the Stalker.
Yep, to the Stalker.
Which
is important because he has that Grievous Wounds.
He has that Grievous Wounds.
And does the D6 plus his POW 12? POW 12 on the Bucking Jenny?
D3 plus 3.
D3 plus 3.
And POW 14.
POW 14?
Yeah.
POW 12 on a range 14 gun, he says, asking knowingly.
Range 14, POW 12.
Good talk.
Yes.
Bucking Jenny.
Yeah,
it's
I'm not even saying it. So here's the Mariners shooting.
This is so heroic. The Mariners shoots. Remember all the time we just been talking with the Wilder? The Mariners scatters wide on the Stalker, rolling a 3 to hit, and boosts blast damage on the Wilder and just kills her.
Just kills her outright, which, I mean, can't really complain about.
Screw you guys, Arcane support. This is an Arcane Assist only channel.
And take a shot with the other Mariner. I think my dice went poopy here.
You were out for Lanyssa, so you took a shot on that Stalker, hit him, but I think I shield guard
to Loki. Yeah. I boost the damage, and I don't do a lot.
Loki's got armor 19, so like he's pretty hardy.
Some nickel and dime damage, and I think I actually miss with Bucking Jenny. No.
This round you hit with it. Yeah, you hit. You did some damage to the Stalker, but not enough to take anything out. And I shield guarded the hit, and you missed with the Mariner. So you're well behind on the damage you expected to do. I think you almost expected to kill a heavy this turn.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So the one thing that we neglected to say is I activated Ashlynn earlier. Ashlynn had put up solid ground, and she put Quicken.
Chosen ground.
And she'd put Quicken on
the Nyss.
On the Nyss, so that the Nyss could now walk 9 and shoot.
So you get like an 8-person CRA here? Like it's really strong.
I do an 8-person one into
the Stalker yep,
and
hits.
I hit, and then I don't crank the damage. I think I roll a 6, but I mean, when you're hitting it...
Yeah, your dice plus 1, you rolled a 5. You do 6 points of damage. You've done a bunch of damage at this point to the Stalker, which is, like, given the Mariner missed, the other one got shield guarded, you've got basically Alten and a single Nyss CRA, you've still almost taken out an aspect. Critically, given that it cannot be healed this turn, you have not quite crippled an aspect, which I'm grateful for.
So I think I run the Nomad up, so he's just like a half inch out of your maximum charge range of the Goat Man up at the top there.
Mm-hmm.
The Mariner, Mauler. Ugh. Hi, how are you? It's been a long day.
Marauder? No, that can't be right.
That's not right. It is the...
Mangler.
It's one of the M's. One of the M's has Pathfinder because of Ashlynn's spell, so he just runs through the woods and camps himself in a nice spot up there, shielding Kell from any potential fire from the...
Yeah, you're playing around the notion that I'd like feet and bleed through my Gnarlhorn or something. That's pretty clever.
The dwarves just run up at a medium pace and camp behind the wall. They're I'm in no rush to get them into the fight. They're going to become my mid to late game deal with 2 zone kind of unit. Press kind of hard with the Nyss. The 2 units of eliminators are ready to deal with stuff in the middle, and Blythe and Bull just walk up and they have prey on the Razor Wing and the Griffon. Scarsfell Griffon.
I realized I put that in AoE4. So I advance the Gobbers. They do their little smoke cloud business. Create a nice AoE 5 cloud. I'm determining whether or not I want to put Tanith in it and activate her prowl, or put her behind it and just sort of have line of sight block to her. So I debate both. This turn, I have to pay to upkeep both spells, which is just miserable.
I'm okay with it.
You killed my Arcane support model.
So it was an Arcane assist.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't argue with that. So my thought here is kill an eliminator with a Scarsfell. Probably lose it as a result, but just go do some work. And then feat to use it as an arc node, and then cast a boosted affliction twice if I need to. The Nyss are defense 16 against spells, so I'm looking for a 10. That's a little better than a 50-50, so I feel like with 2 cracks at it, I'll get it. And then I've got like a good Wraithbane spray with the Pureblood, and then maybe the Stalker can go in and kill a couple with its reach range. Maybe even like Loki gets in the mix and kills one. And if I've got extra Fury to spend, I can throw out a Bleed or camp some. So, Gorax walks up, casts Primal for only 1, because all the animi are reduced in cost by 1 thanks to the theme benefit. Scarsfell charged in, boosted hit,
pancakes the Eliminator,
and just kills it. I leave the Primal token marker there just to indicate that it has to Frenzy, but the Scarsfell switches out to Elusive. So if you miss it, it can dodge. That is free because the Scarsfell has...
It cost 1 animi?
Yeah, reduced cost. I cost 1 animi that's been reduced to 0. There's a little bit of a weird interaction right now. Tanith is going to feat in a second, and her feat also reduces the cost of animi by 1, but there's a clause in the feat that says it can't reduce it to less than 1, and the theme benefit doesn't have that rule. So the Scarsfell can cast Elusive for nothing, but then when she feats, now all my beasts that have a 1-cost animus now actually have to pay for it, which is a little counterintuitive.
Weird.
I still think she's really good in this theme. Like, it's a weird interaction, but I still think she's really strong, having a fairly big battle group and can manage it quite well.
So you move Tanith up into the woods, and then you realize that my Nomad, who has Pathfinder, can see you, so you decide to go right behind the clouds in the wood.
Yeah, I moved up, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to get charged by Eliminators and die. And then I'm like, oh, right, with Chosen Ground, the Nomad has Pathfinder. That means it can charge over the wall, and it can probably get into the woods here, so I move out of its line of sight.
You end up missing the first affliction and hitting the second one, and you're on 0 fury.
Yeah, so I do end up casting the affliction twice, which is the reason I feated this turn, but I landed on the second crack, and it's time to go activate some pieces and get some work done. So we're going to move in with the Pureblood. So the Pureblood's really strong here. One of the things that's good about it, it warps for Ghostly, so it can walk into the water. It casts Wraithbane for a cost of 1, and because it's casting Wraithbane, it ignores Quicken, because it's a spell effect that adds to defense, but it still benefits from the -2 defense from Affliction. So it's going to just take a bunch of hits on Nyss, and it hits the first one, misses the second one, boosts hit the other 2, one of whom is Silena, and then it kills all the ones that it hit. So it wipes out 3 Nyss, including Silena, and I'm going to call that a win. Like, that's a huge success for the Pureblood.
Yeah, because no more combined range for me.
It's a big... Do those Hunter or combined range? I never remember which one is attached to which. The Stalker charges in.
Selena grants Hunter.
Yeah, gets reach range on the 2 models, or sorry, 1-inch melee range on both of the models. Warps for Berserk. Actually ends up missing a string of attacks, but Berserk lets it get the last one. And it casts its Sprint Animus to kind of come back a little bit in the zone. He did not force to regenerate, which is what my original plan was to do, because, of course, he has been grievously wounded.
And I think sprinting back instead of pressing deep is a bit of a clutch play there.
Yeah, I'm trying to force the line of engagement to kind of come my way a little bit. I think Jay really wants to kind of play back and forth with guns, and I really don't want to put a Mariner on my Stalker this turn, if I can avoid it.
No, it's they POW 17s are nothing to laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
With power up, just you're a hard to hit model, but any hits do work.
Yeah, and a Mariner could just walk over and headbutt me, let a whole bunch of Nyss kill me. So that's not like, I definitely don't want that.
So your Blackclad up top
just
comes in the range to nick Kell with the spray.
Yep.
You hit the Mariner, you hit Kell, and you leave Kell on 1 box.
Oh, this is so brutal. So I line up a spray here, and I get a nice crit knockdown on the Mariner, who's immune to knockdown because of Chosen Ground. And then I'm looking for a hit on Kell, and I'm looking for a 7. I actually roll the 7 here, and then it's POW
12.
POW 12, so I leave him on 1 box, which is rough, because I feel like I'm pretty much trading my Blackclad for this. I mean, maybe I'm trading my Blackclad for some positioning, or to force Jay to bring Hutchuk on this side versus on the side with the Pureblood, but either way, it's like, it would have been real nice to kill Kell there. That's okay. They can't all be winners. The Gnarlhorn activates next. He just sort of backs up into Serenity range of the stones, keeps up that Admo counter slam thing going, and he casts Earth Blessing, being forced to pay for it this time. If I was clever, I probably would have activated him before activating Tanith. I wasn't actually sure what his plan was. Taking a few more minutes to establish that would save me the 1 point of Fury. Fortunately, there's a stone there to Serenity it, so it's not super bad.
So currently I'm looking at, if I don't move Ashlynn, what her feat range is. Because if I move Quicken to that Nomad, it goes from speed 5 to speed 7, meaning it charges 10 and threats 12. Well, a 10-inch charge will put me in range to use my shield attack on the one Gobber in the cloud, and that puts my sword, my POW 18 sword, within 2-inch range of a caster with no fury on it.
Yeah, so cards on the table, I 100% just didn't anticipate this line of play. There's something a little bit startling about playing against a caster who you've got a lot of table time against, but whose kit has been reworked significantly. This is actually my first game against Ashlynn with the new spell list, and all the parts I'm aware of. I'm aware she's got Quicken as a threat extender. I'm aware that she's got access to Pathfinder thanks to Chosen Ground for her battle group. I'm aware that denies knockdown and all those things. And I actually stay out of the Nomad's range expecting it to charge me, but for some reason don't anticipate just this notion that the Nomad is going to simply be quickened and charge over the wall. I'm like, oh, those are both upkeeps. Oh, but one of them's on your caster. Okay, right, of course. And yes, you can obviously see the goblin. You charge him, and you'll have reach range to Tanith. So Jay loads his Nomad up with focus, and that's obviously a big part of what this plan is going to be about.
Well,
before that happens, Hutchuk jumps in from ambush.
Hutchuk jumps in, and I kill the Blackclad with the grenade.
Yeah, throws a quick grenade at him.
And then I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to walk into the zone now because my charge target's dead.
Yeah, contest from behind that wall. That's really strong because if Jay's assassination attempt doesn't work here, one of the things that he'd have to look at doing is, do I want to stick the Mangler into that zone? Maybe get it slammed out by the Gnarlhorn? Like all of those things are kind of problems you don't want to have. Whereas Hutchuk, because of the placement of that obstruction, he's very safe there.
So I'm looking at the Gnarlhorn, and I know the Gnarlhorn has counter slam.
Yep.
And I don't want my Nomad slammed. So I charge with
I think you just run.
So I just run. I think I just end up running.
He ends up being speed 5. You don't have him quick,
and
so
I
he
engage
just
him.
Runs.
Yep.
You run and you engage. I trigger admonition because I don't want to be engaged. I have the option at this point to slam the Mangler. Obviously, that's not what I want to do. So instead, I admonition back, stay within Serenity range of that stone, and am available as a counter slam target for the Nomad. But Jay runs the remaining member of the 2-person Eliminator unit, the sister of whom got killed by the Scarsfell. So probably like the most disposable model left in your list, I think it's fair to say. You run her to engage the Gnarlhorn, and that's like the Gnarlhorn has effectively eaten up 2 activations this turn, which is pretty much what its job is. Like that's kind of the solve to that particular puzzle. Having said that, I really don't want that Nomad on my caster.
So I go with Ashlynn. I cast Quicken on the Nomad. I feat. And I should have pressed a little more forward with her. I got a little, shall we say, focused on the assassination attempt, and I didn't fully utilize my caster's positioning this turn. So
you hit with the shield, you kill the goblin.
Hit with the shield, kill the goblin.
Yep. You're now onto sword mode. First initial attack with the sword on Tanith. That's an 8. That misses. You did 9.
Buy an attack.
Yep.
I hit.
Hit with a 9.
I roll a cock die and a 6, which turns into a 5 and a 6, which leaves you on 1 box.
1 box. Your dice +3 with your POW 18 attack.
I buy my last attack and roll 4 4s, which is not a 9. So Yahtzee, but the caster's alive on 1 box.
Did you consider boosting the damage, or
I would have boosted the damage on the last attack had I
like when you've got me on 1 box and you buy an attack, don't you boost to hit that one?
I couldn't. 1 focus a charge.
Okay, so you're on 3. You spend 1 to charge.
Right.
You use your first initial to hit me, and you...
First initial kills the Gobber.
Right, and
then
the
sword on
hits
Tanith
me.
Misses.
Okay. And then you buy an attack with a focus.
Yep.
And then you hit me, luckily on that one, leave me on 1 box, and then you buy your last attack.
Yep.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
I thought about boosting the previous one. I also thought about boosting the...
Boosting the previous one, you roll an average of 11. Leaves me 11, 1 box of the dice plus 3 as well. Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's it. Obviously.
War Machine's a dice game.
In this game, I am much less calm and relaxed than I am speaking about this game. I'm not without my moment of joy here. Still, War Machine is much more challenging when you play on the proverbial hard mode of having your caster on 1 box. So Jay is obviously going to spend much of this turn just switching to attrition mode. I have to go into the tank for a minute, right? Because I'm like, I honestly expected to kill you. Yeah.
Right, and when you get focused like that, and you start. Sometimes you just gloss and you make a couple simple mistakes, like I don't press forward enough with my caster. I have to now. I've committed models to the top in a contesting your countercharge point of view. Now I have to pull back out and I have to say, okay, what do I do with those hammer dwarves? What do I do with my remaining Nyss? So I turn around and I move Dougal. How do I move? I moved.
Right now you're charging Nyss, right?
I'm charging a bunch of Nyss.
Yeah, the Nyss that are left over you charge into the Stalker, the fairly damaged Stalker.
And into the Primal.
The Pureblood.
Yeah. And some are under the feet, some are not. And this is where, had I been a little more cognizant of my caster's placement, I could have probably hit everything instead of just missing a few. So the other full unit of eliminators go into the Scarsfell Griffon. Mat 7 goes to Mat 9 with Gang, 4 dice to hit, and I think I do single combo strikes. And at POW 15, base 9.
You do combos because they're 13s.
9 goes to 13s,
15?
goes to 15s. And I think between the 2 eliminators, I end up leaving the Griffin on like 3 or 4 boxes.
Yeah, it's on like 4 or 5, I think, but still, like, solid hits. Ashlyn's feat makes elusive kind of a non-thing this turn, but I'm still, like, you chose to make fewer attacks, which is not, like, mathematically the smart choice, but it's probably the safer play against an elusive target.
Absolutely, especially with half-inch melee.
Yep. Your dwarves all kind of run up.
Take a stance to get into
kill
it next
whatever
turn.
Kills the jacks, I think is basically their plan here.
Yep.
And these are Ashlynn always feels like you roll a bucket of dice. I'm not even sure it's attacking right now.
I don't know. I don't know. That was something.
Oh, maybe it was Kell? Kell moved up.
Kell moved up, took 2 shots into the engaged
Gobber.
Into the engaged Gobber, and I missed with both of them. And
yeah, and you missed your Nomad in the back too because you choose which 2 dice you drop. So you just dropped the high ones.
I dropped the high ones, and actually it was only 1 shot because I moved.
Yep,
that's what it was. Absolutely.
So now we're looking at Blythe and Bull,
and because they have prey on the Griffin, they're charging.
The Griffin, we correct the situation. But Bull only actually has a 1-inch melee, but we'll catch that in a sec.
And I'm just like, oh yeah, look at that. I'm just gonna finish putting him the full rest of his charge distance, and
they had lots of room to get there. It wasn't an issue, and the lane was good too. They roll a bucket load of dice. Elusive again, not mattering in this situation. And I think Bull is probably going to kill the bird right now.
And I think I roll like a 16 on the damage dice anyways, and Bull hits like a truck.
We don't Reeve there. Tanith is on. I'm fairly convinced at this point Jay's out of attacks to shoot Tanith, so I choose not to Reeve there because I'm running a little hot this turn.
So I shift prey over to the Gnarlhorn, but potentially a mistake. I think I should have shifted it more towards the 3 war beasts I have at the bottom, rather than. My thought is next turn, with beat back and potentially knockdown, I can get that slam out of the way and then focus elsewhere. But I don't know. I probably should have shifted prey towards the bottom. So I have my 2 Mariners left. And nope, they went earlier. They shot and did damage before the charge.
Yeah,
that's
sorry.
what I thought.
The Stalker here is really, really roughed up. I don't know if that's been made clear here. It has Mind, I think, left.
Mind's out, but it's not grievous because I missed that shot this turn, because you can heal this turn. But you can't because you frenzy.
Something. I'm not 100% sure that's right. I think you actually hit it this turn, and I opt to leave the Fury on it so that it can frenzy and get the additional die to hit to go to 2 dice. I do upkeep Affliction. I do upkeep Scything Touch. Admonition has expired. So Tanith spends 2 of her 6, and we had a threshold that frenzied on the Stalker, who does not kill the Nyss that I was hoping it would kill. So right now what I'm measuring out is basically, can the Scything Touch Loki kind of just walk into the back arc of the Nomad, like avoiding its melee range and just walking straight into its back arc. He has Pathfinder base, which is a really useful feature for him.
And Tracker. He can warp for Tracker.
Yeah,
if
he warped for Tracker last turn to just throw his chain at a Nyss and just kill it from behind the forest. But this turn, I think he's pretty much going to warp for Strength. He's got 2 POW 14 attacks, but if he warps for Strength, he goes to 16. And with Scything Touch, it's effectively 18. I could primal him and make it 20, but I think POW 18 is going to be enough.
I lose the buckler in the back.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Touch. It's effectively a negative 3 armor swing.
Yeah. So the Feral goes next. He warps for armor, and he punches to just kill that Nyss right there.
And because, again, I didn't press hard enough with Ashlynn on her feet turn, your guys were out of my feet. Which makes a big difference.
Sorry, I do have the Feral pay to put Primal on Loki here. So Loki goes all the way up to POW Strength 20 in his attacks on the Nomad, which is pretty good. Little dice plus 2 in your back arc. Unfortunately, he rolls like garbage. And his first attack does 5 damage. Second attack does 8. So like he's doing okay. But I start moving into buying attacks. The other reason he's primal this turn is in a back arc, his mat 9 against your defensive 8. I'm looking for not double 1 state you, but I'm hoping that eventually he can switch over some attacks and maybe kill Bull after finishing the Nomad. But the way that my damage dice are rolling here, it doesn't quite work out that promisingly.
I think you end up with one
he
attack
gets
on
one
Bull.
attack on Bull, which he actually hits with, and at POW Strength effectively 20, he
and I
kills
fail
him
my
and you
tough
don't
check.
tough. So Loki does tons of work this turn. He's a hero. He's almost always the all-star of whatever list he's in, and being able to play him in Tanith, he swaps to that free elusive because of the theme list, which is really cool because I'm hoping that we end up with a situation where Jay goes in on Loki and doesn't quite commit enough to his defense 14, and he gets to just sort of dodge out and live in a turn where he wouldn't otherwise be able to.
So now your caster is free.
I'm about to do something cute.
My poor Nomad who was containing your caster perishes, and because of how I clumped up my warriors so they have the armor bonus, makes them stunning targets for your stupid gun.
So Tanith actually has a stick that's like a piece of wormwood, which is super cool, right? Like it's this little kind of twig of the elder evil tree. And if she shoots you with it and directly hits, it centers an AoE 4 on that model, and all of those models become shadowbound.
So I don't think you kill a single one.
No, I don't. They're high armor because they're base to base, and I'm only POW 12. So the direct hit, which is POW 12 damage roll, doesn't kill that dwarf.
And you match armor.
And we've
shadowbind 5 of them.
That's and all the front dwarves, which is important because the other dwarves have to go through them now, and that's a problem.
Now, if I think Ashlynn should have a tactician dwarf power. That's what I think.
Sure.
She has veteran leader Lealese. I think that should become in irregulars. It should become tactician Hornhold. Horgenhold. What the
Tactician
dwarf?
Rulik? Would that be better?
Rulik better.
No,
Yeah.
No.
What the hell's that first word again?
Horgenhold? Horgenhold Forge Guard?
Yeah, let's just go with Rulik.
Yeah, I think Rulik is that's the keyword. So yeah, it's a direct hit against an enemy model center an AoE 4 on the model hit. Enemy models in the AoE suffer Shadowbind for a round.
So you port your
so the Gobber moves back and places a 3-inch cloud, and Tanith gets Prowl because she's in that cloud. And then I move the Gnarlhorn up. I debated cycling Scything Touch to the Gnarlhorn and instead opted to heal 2 with Tanith. I'm not sure that was the right call. I'm trying to get back up to a point where I have a reasonable defensive stat line with my caster. The Gnarlhorn kind of rolls like garbage and actually misses all of its attacks, which is rough.
Well, the defense 11, you need your mat 6.
8, because I'm primaled.
Huh. Yeah, you did roll like garbage under Ashlyn's feet.
Yeah. I did kill the... Oh, no, I didn't kill the Eliminator. Sorry, I boosted 3 times to try to kill the Eliminator.
That's what
happened. So I got ported into the Eliminator's back arc, so it's defense 15. I'm mat 8, so I'm looking for a 7. So I'm looking for 5 dice, dropping the 2 highest 7s. Someone on the internet should do the math and figure out the odds of trying to roll that 3 times and failing, but I think it's not great. So I'm looking at where this Mangler now is, and I'm thinking it can probably get to me. So I'm going to try to block the lane that it would want to end up in.
And the Eliminator.
Yeah, I put the tree there to block the lane for the Eliminator a little bit. The Eliminator can still charge and sidestep and get to me, but I'm hoping that like the 1 POW 11 attack isn't enough to kill me. It just might. I've only got 1 transfer. I have Prowl, so that's something.
2. Don't you have 2 transfers?
Nope, down to 1
just
transfer.
1.
Yeah, because I
heal for 2.
Upkept both spells. I boosted to hit the gunshot just to lock it in, and I healed for 2.
So I'm looking, and I'm like, I have a Mariner that has a straight shot down at Tanith, but she has Prowl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but there's that big ugly tree there that's not fully in the cloud.
Sure isn't.
And it's within AoE 3 blast range of
It sure is.
of Tanith. I'm like, so I got 1 shot and then potentially 2, depending on where I position Dougal and what's going on. That was just a weird sound in the background that totally distracted me.
It's not going to pick up on the audio, but because Jay commented about it, we'll still have it in the video indirectly.
It's all good. It's all good. So I'm also spending a lot of time focusing on how to get this Eliminator over there just in case the 2 gunshots don't kill you.
They might. The POW 8 gunshot or POW...
POW 14.
POW 14 goes to POW 7.
POW 7 blast.
Yep, POW 7 blast damage. So yeah, I think I said POW 8 blast damage earlier in the video, but it's POW 7 blast. She's armor 15, so boosted. You do an average of about 3 damage. She has about 3 boxes right now.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, how can I... So I put 3 focus on... Or I allocate 2 additional focus to the Mangler up top, and I think I look at myself and I go, okay, I have 2 Rulik dwarf hammer guys who can actually charge the Goatman up top, and I'm like on an interesting angle, and I also have Kell, and I'm like, can Kell, standing where he is, shoot the Gobber who is in the way of my charge path? And no, he's just out of range.
So at this point, you're trying to kill the Gnarlhorn with the goats and get the Mangler in on me?
The thought is I can have 2 Forge Guard. If I can at least get a crit slam, if I can get a crit slam, you're going to hit the obstruction, and I'm going to do a ton of damage, and you're going to be knocked down. And it'll give me a weird charge angle, but hopefully I can get to you.
So one of the things that I could have done here and didn't do is cycle the Gnarlhorn over to the Earth's Blessing Animus. Cost 0, would have been absolutely free to do, but I was so kind of tilted by not rolling those 5 dice 7s that I just sort of forgot to do that. And I think that's actually a pretty good takeaway. Like, I know we talk about trying to play like really strong videos that really give you a compelling picture of what a competitive environment looks like, and making sort of what looks like a rookie mistake is not necessarily that.
But people tilt.
Yeah, they do. They absolutely do. And I think it's a really good instance of This literally happened because I was upset and responding emotionally to my dice. And I talk a lot about how I try very, very hard to not respond emotionally to those dice. So it's a good lesson. It's a good takeaway. Jay doesn't crit smite, so it's a bit of a moot point here, but it does play into the strategy that he opts for. He does a truckload of damage to this Gnarlhorn, though. You actually almost kill the Gnarlhorn. He's down to a handful of boxes.
Six or eight boxes.
Like that.
But that leaves me in a predicament because I'm like, what do I do here? I don't want to commit the Mangler to killing the Gnarlhorn.
Correct.
So I believe I walk into your back arc with the Eliminator and combo strike you. I try to position myself where I'm not going to give you the defensive cover of the obstruction, but still be in your back arc.
Mm-hmm. And that gives you lots of lane for the Mangler to still charge, which is, I think, where you're looking at plan-wise.
So I hit with the combo, and then I roll damage.
POW 13, so dice minus 5. You actually spike a little bit and do 4 points of damage, which now leaves me on 4 boxes. Like, this is quite achievable. This is maybe it's funny. 4 damage is kind of a problem area because Kell, I was on 3 boxes, would just be like, oh, I got this. But now that I'm on 4, he's like, oh, that's a lot of work.
So, yeah, it requires 2 hits from Kell, not under feet.
Mm-hmm.
Under Ashlynn's feet, who cares?
2 hits. I mean, Rat 10 against defense 16 only needs a 6. Like, that's not terrible, but hitting a 6 twice versus hitting a 6 1 of 2 times.
So I move Dougal forward. I artillerist the 1 Jack. He spends his focus, forfeits his movement to aim. Shoots the tree.
Yep.
So I
you're Rat a bazillion against this tree. Rat 9, I think.
5 goes to 7 goes to 9.
Yep. So it's tree.
Hit the tree. As soon as I'm done rolling these dice, stop shaking them.
One of the things we debated a little bit, I think you consider artilleristing another guy if the tree died and like trying for a rerolled scatter, but you opted for the artillerist here. I think mostly because of the positioning. And
I leave you back on 1 box.
Yeah, you don't eat my transfer, which is pretty critical. At dice minus 8. You do a boosted 2 damage, rolling a 10, and I take it.
You do, and then I say to myself, please, oh please don't kill the tree, so I can get a second crack at blast damage, and I crank the dice roll and kill the tree.
It's dice minus 2. Like, you need to roll a 7. That's not. I'm not sure I'd call that a crank, but
when you don't want an average die roll, it's a crank.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think I also kill the Gobber with the blast damage and leave Lanyssa alive.
Yeah, you leave Lanyssa, I think, on 1 box. Like, she's only armor 11, so.
Well, it was a touche for Kell.
There you go. A little, my solo lives, your solo lives. Your solo's got another point of armor, so that's doubly impressive.
So I think the other Mariner.
So you could shoot at me and hope to get a 1 or a 2 for scatter. That's an option. Did you consider that one?
I did, and then I decided that I'd rather just do some damage in the zone.
One of the problems right now is I think you're basically putting whatever you can in this zone, which is not very much right now. Yeah. I think you're charging the Stalker with is
Blythe.
This Blythe? Yeah.
She hits and doesn't really do a lot of damage.
She rolled a 12. She did all right.
I
mean, that Stalker's pretty roughed up. As previously mentioned, it's not on a lot of boxes. I think what you were hoping to do is kill the Stalker with just a couple of spikes somewhere and disengage the Nyss Hunter who's standing right next to her.
Right, so that the Nyss Hunter could then
just walk in with Tanith and
stab her. So I think I forfeit my movement with Alten. I need a low number still to hit that Stalker. 14 goes to 18. Alten goes to a 10. I think I need an 8 to hit you in combat.
Kell right now, I'm trying to. Sorry, you're lasering on the other side of the table. I think you're shooting Kell.
Kell shoots.
Kell shoots into the Gnarlhorn.
Into the Gnarlhorn, misses, kills a goat, and then I think I just decide that I don't want to take the second shot.
No, you hit with the second shot and do 3 points of damage. I just had 4 boxes.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that,
right.
like, 2 6s is much worse than 1? Well, one of those 6s killed the dwarf.
So then I decide I still want that goat out of the way, so I'm going to charge it with 1 Nyss, because they have parry. You can go right by Loki.
Eliminators, yeah.
Eliminators. Did I say Nyss? I did say Nyss.
It's okay. So the Eliminator here, I think your plan is to charge pretty tight to your max melee range, and then sidestep
out of the way
of the Mangler's charge there.
And then the other one is just going to charge Loki.
So you're not getting a gang bonus, but I'm only at F12, so you need a 5, which you land. And you combo here. So you do hit Loki as well. He takes a little chunk of damage. I was really hoping you'd miss Loki because...
he'd skedaddle away.
Yeah, exactly.
So I hit and kill the goat. You pull the 3 transfers off. I'd sidestep 1 inch, and then I decide that I'm going to take the full 2-inch sidestep.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, I think I'm going to bring myself closer to dodge.
I think mostly you sidestep the first inch so that you could kind of look at what that lane looked like and then move up more if you needed to.
So
you've given me 3 transfers by killing the Gnarlhorn, but even on 4 transfers, I'm on 1 box. You don't have to hit me that hard for it to be a really big problem.
So I run the Mariner to the zone because at this point I realize I don't have a lot left to contest that zone, and depending on what happens, I can force you. You have 1 beast that's probably going to go crazy, so I'm hoping that I'm forcing you to a spot where you're going to have to engage me with multiple models.
Yep. It's starting to become really relevant that both of us are quite low on clock at this point.
So here, and in retrospect, I'm focusing on the caster kill, which I think because I left you in 1 box, it became an obsession to get you.
It feels so close the whole time.
Yes, but in retrospect, scenario play is more relevant, and by charging my jack out this zone, I don't score this turn.
Yes.
Because my caster moves into a position behind the wall to cast Quicken, and she does not make it into the zone. I could have probably repoed 3 there, but I decided to take the cover of the wall for protection because Loki's right there.
Why do you have repo 3?
Because she does now.
Isn't that a benefit of Ragman? Or
Gibbs?
I'm
stuck with Gibbs. Yeah. She does not have repo 3.
We're not in that theme, people.
We're not in that theme, people. No, not at all.
So you wail on me. You have aggressive, which is a sweet rule. I didn't realize that Mangler's got aggressive. So you charge for free.
I boost my charge attack.
Boost the charge, you hit.
You transfer.
I transfer that the hell off. He goes to the feral, just messes up the feral. You did a truckload of damage.
I buy and I boost the hit again.
Yep. And then I think you boosted damage and I transferred it, something like that.
Yeah, and then I my offhand attack, I try to poke Lanyssa, and I don't believe I kill her.
Yeah, you don't land the 9 to hit her. So that's another super bad situation where Tanith has just been kind of trucked in the face. Yeah, this is not ideal.
So my thought is, I'm giving up. I'm making a mistake by not scoring the zone.
Yeah,
full on mistake. But I'm pressing you hard. I'm forcing your activations, and there's no way you're going to take a free strike from that jack.
No, I really have to deal with this jack before activating her, which is rough because, like last round, I had Loki with Scything Touch already queued up, ready to do the work, and I don't have that this turn because he's frenzying. He was primal last turn, so he frenzies. He frenzies onto the Eliminator with his mat of 7, needing a 10. He lands it and just aces her. Warps for strength because that's a requirement. I make a threshold test, and I frenzy with the Pureblood, who does not quite have line of sight to the feral, so charges the Nyss, which she can see.
Blythe,
who she can see, and hits Blythe and kills Blythe. So I've got a feral available to me who's got about 18 boxes left, but is fully functional. I've got a Stalker who needs to be healed, but can be healed. I've got a Gorax who is fully functional. And I've got Tanith engaged in melee, which is not an ideal set of circumstances.
No, it really isn't. So, what do you find is your thought process here with your caster engaged in the back like that?
I mean, she needs to escape, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing. I need to get her out, and I need to get her out as quickly as possible. So like I need another Loki. I don't have one available to me this turn. Really what I want her to do is to go Shadowbind 6 dwarves again. And your placement of the Eliminators in fairly threatening positions, the relevance of that far zone, like those are all things that are causing me concern here. It helps a lot that you don't have a jack in that zone right now. because otherwise you'd be up 2-1, and I can't really afford that. Right now we have scenario parity because I managed to score a point in the zone before. So Tanith moves into the trench. She's going to be safest in the trench, and she spends 2 to cast Scything Touch onto the Gorax this time. My plan is the Gorax probably won't finish the Mangler, but he might contribute to Scything Touch on other models. Again, fairly low on clock, feeling a bit anxious about it. In hindsight, I should have Scything Touched my own caster, because I would get the bonus on the damage roll right here that I roll. I'm POW 11, but I don't do a ton of damage because it's dice -8. At this point, she camps 3. That's 1 to upkeep Affliction, 2 to cast Scything Touch. She's on 3. Again, Arcane support would have been real good here.
So part of cramming that jack down your throat, while I lost the scoring opportunity, it does force you into a spot like that where you can't blow your stack.
Yep.
And you have to play very, very defensive. Your caster is limited into where he can walk or she can walk.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep those transfers. You can't spend those focuses, and you can't shoot downfield.
I could have been within 1 inch of the stone and outside of AoE 3 of it. I didn't do that. I'm noticing the fuck up right now. So the Gorax walks in, he primals himself for 1, and he hits and boosts his first damage roll. With a combination of Scything Touch and Primal, he goes to power strength 16, so dice -3. And he rolls pretty well on the first one and pretty badly on the second one. So
Takes out half a Mangler.
yeah, it's neat in this theme that a Gorax can primal itself for 1, boost damage. So like, they end up doing quite a bit of work. The Stalker chooses to warp for strength, and it makes its first attack with the 2-inch melee sword on the Mangler. Key is that it kept that Nyss within 1 inch, so not only did it not take a free strike, but it gets to make its claw attack on the Nyss Hunter.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
The Nyss was still like, I upkept Affliction basically to kill that one Nyss because I'm running out of tools. The other thing Tanith did, she's on 2 Fury. I miscounted there before. She did heal the Stalker for 1, and the Stalker forced himself to regenerate as well.
Yes, that was some good tech because I missed with the Ashlynn shot.
Yeah, and then
Alten Ashley shot.
Yep. And then I sprint him for free after he kills the Mangler and the Nyss, and he just sort of presses further forward, just sort of acting as a little bit of a screen. He's pretty roughed up, but acting as a little bit of a screen is helpful for him.
I don't think you want some of those dwarves coming downtown on Tanith.
Yeah, exactly. I rolled some not spectacular damage rolls on the Feral here, who's attacking the Mangler.
No, the Mariner.
Mariner, sorry. Should I say Mariner? The Mangler is, of course, dead.
But you took out the Mariner and scored the zone, which I believe brings us to 2-2.
Yep. It evens up the scenario situation, which is a big deal. And as I mentioned already, the Feral was pretty damaged from the transfers, so he also forces to regenerate to get some of those boxes back. I port the stones. I put 1 within Serenity range of the Stalker. And
more importantly, 2 in the zone that I need to score.
Yep. So I'm putting up roadblocks at this point. We're both pretty low on clock, and I'm hoping to see if I can get my caster to relative safety and just start running out the clock on scoring points. Basically, I have to get to a position where I'm holding a side of the table, and I can get kind of up a couple points, so that Jay won't win on bottom of 7.
So I put. I take a shot with. I put 2 focus on the bottom Mariner. I take a shot with Alten and miss again, rolling a 3, needing a 4. I charge with the Mariner. I 1 to charge, and then I Thresher and boost both the hit rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Hitting both jacks, and POW 17s do work.
Yeah, Pureblood takes 9 points. The Pureblood, fortunately, was totally undamaged so far, so that's a big deal. And the Feral is actually dice +1 because he warped for strength last turn, but he can ill afford even the 4 damage you do to him.
So I run Dougal into the zone at this point because I'm not shooting anymore. I just need another model in there to contest. I think Kell goes. He shoots the 1 stone twice, killing it. Hutch charges the other stone, kills it.
Actually, leaves it all have on 1 box.
Oh, he does.
Are you POW 14 or 15? You're like 14. I'm like, all right, I am alive on 1.
So I think at this point,
Ashlynn's probably going to come in and kill it.
Yeah.
Because she's the plan to score that zone, right?
She's the plan to score the zone. I was just checking some distances from eliminators to your caster.
Mm-hmm.
And the one charges your caster straight off. I think I miss and then I miss.
Yeah, eliminators without the gang bonus are only mat 7, so you're still looking for 8s here. And now that Ashlynn's feat's gone, my defense 15 is keeping me in the game.
So I walk Ashlynn forward. Because she walks forward, she has a 2-inch melee because she's activating. She casts Quicken on the far eliminator whose back is to your caster, and then pokes the stone with her weapon master attack and killing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just needs to roll an 8 on 3 dice, which she does.
Which frees up the zone for me to score now because Ashlynn's in it. The other eliminator walks now from
9.
speed 7 to speed 9. Walks into, cannot quite get into Tanith's back arc, but
yeah,
goes as close as she can. Attacks twice, and I believe also does not hit on both attacks.
Yeah, you're sort of fishing for a bunch of 8s. You're sort of rolling enough dice that hopefully it works out. And then the dwarves charge both my heavies.
The charge the light brigade. So I think I end up with 3 on Loki and 4 on your stalker, 5 on your stalker. I kill the stalker, I think, on the first or second hit.
Well, you start on Loki, and actually you dub 1's one of the rolls, which is really big for me. And then you roll a crit smite you don't want to make use of, and then you roll a crit smite that you do make use of.
And in retrospect, again, I shouldn't have done that. I should have kept him engaged.
Yeah.
Because by slamming him away, all I'm doing is liberating a model for you to use that's now outside of my melee range. Where before it would have forced the line of engagement to stay on the models.
Where he was before, I might have tried doing something cute like afflictioning the dwarves and trampling into the zone or something. Having his trample attack hit them all, do 1 automatic damage because of affliction, and then kill 6 dwarves and be in the zone you're trying to score.
Being the skilled player I am, I saw that line of play and chose the crit slam.
Yeah, well, either way, you definitely clear me out of the space. However, you leave Loki alive, mostly through virtue of some bad dice rolls, and a little bit because I think you overcommitted to the stalker here. He didn't have a ton of boxes
left. I
left.
totally overcommitted to the stalker.
So the Gorax frenzies.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I had charge angles, and the angles prohibited some charge lanes, so I took what I could.
Okay. The Gorax doesn't kill the stone because his body is out, and he does not get 3 inches of movement, so he rolls 1 die at dice off 6. Tanith is tied up by 2 eliminators, and she doesn't love that set of circumstances. So she's going to try to deal with that. Yeah, it's not good. One of the eliminators is in a trench. The other one's not in a trench. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to try to kill them. So I start by activating Lanyssa, who walks behind one of the eliminators and into the back arc of the other one. She's got just enough movement to get around because they only have a 0.5 inch melee. And she casts a spell targeting the eliminator that's further away. This one has Quicken, so even though she's in the back arc, the defense is still 15. She's magic 7, so she needs an 8 to hit here. So I'm just kind of hoping to get an 8 on my Ice Bolt. It misses. 1, 2, 3 is Tanith. 4, 5, 6 to the eliminator. She shoots Tanith, and when she rolls to hit here against Tanith in a trench, she misses Tanith. So
a crit stationary would have been golden, but you know.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
So not on me, on you.
So would you rolling a 9 there?
Oh God. Anyways,
so I've got some choices to make. Loki did, of course, shake knockdown in the maintenance phase. That's why he's on 1. He did not have a crippled spirit, which is really helpful. I'm looking at, like, where does Tanith end up here? Does she take a free strike? I really want to get her away from the action here where there's a whole bunch of dwarves staring her down. So I move Loki into position to kind of occupy that stalker role of take a face punch by a bunch of dwarves, hoping that he can do a better job of it than the other one did. He boosts to hit its attack on the eliminator, kills the eliminator after forcing to regenerate to get his aspects back up to fully functioning, certainly not full health. And he's on 3 after killing one of the eliminators. I'm now engaged by 1 eliminator, so Tanith makes a tactical decision, and she chooses to walk out of melee, taking a free strike, and getting into range to throw some roots down at some of the dwarves. Jade does hit, and this is POW 11. And at dice -4, takes 1 point. So Tanith transfers it. Oh, sorry, it's more like 4 points of damage because that was your third dice was the column one. But she transfers it, sends it off to the Pureblood, who's otherwise basically fine. And she boosts to hit. Good boost because I could have missed that. And she stationaries.
Shadowbinds a whole bunch of dwarves.
Yeah, sorry, not stationary, shadowbound. Yeah, like a lot of dwarves. I think I get 5 of them, maybe, or at least I get enough of them that like the other models are behind them, and there's like some awkwardness there. So she's transferred, boosted, recast Scything Touch. That's 4 spent. She's on 2. She did not have to upkeep Affliction because the Nyss are dead, and she did not upkeep Scything Touch on the Gorax who frenzied. So
and you port stone back into my zone to contest.
Yep, the last stone in the unit because you killed the other 2. Pureblood goes. Pureblood rolls a string of terrible dice. Pureblood misses the Mariner 5 times and then just rolls like abysmal damage. He's Scything Touched and like just ready to go and just does nothing. Basically leaves the Mariner on full health and certainly doesn't have enough attacks to kill Dougal. I'm looking at my clock. I'm realizing I don't have a ton of time left, so I flip the clock over to Jay.
So I'm trying to go as quickly as possible because I'm really short on clock. Hutchuk goes, attacks the stone.
Kills it,
so I can score. I charge with the 1 Eliminator.
Into my back.
Into the back of Tanith. I hit.
Mm-hmm.
I do some damage that you have to transfer.
I send it to the Feral this turn. Should have sent it to Pureblood, but whatever.
I have a couple of dwarves that I'm just trying to engage your beasts with.
You charge Loki on the Gorax. You move a dwarf a little bit obliquely.
I crit slam the Gorax, do a bunch of damage. I think I kill the Gorax or I leave it.
No, he's on full health. You knock him down, but he takes.
I miss Loki and I pass the clock. Scoring, and I took a couple of seconds too long because when I passed the clock on the bottom of on the top of 6, bottom of 6, I have 14 seconds left.
Yes. Which
and
is
I'm
unfortunately not enough.
Up on control by 1, and it looks like there's really not a lot you can do to prevent me from staying up by 1. So had I passed with 16 seconds...
You might have been in a better situation. Yeah, I do resolve my frenzies. I frenzy with the Gorax, but he doesn't do any damage. I shouldn't have left the 1 on him the previous turn when he was primaled, but I wasn't sure what my turn was going to look like. This time the Pureblood just rolls great damage, kills Dougal on its first attack, buys some attacks on the Mariner. Again, I've upkept Scything Touch with Tanith, rolling pretty quickly because I'm trying to do a bunch of damage. It kills the Mariner, and I score a point there. I also give Jay a point on his side, and basically a turn in which he can attempt to assassinate me. Roll some attack rolls with the Eliminator. I end up transferring the damage rolls, both to the Feral, who takes a bunch of damage, and that is the game because at this point you do clock out.
Yeah, when you transferred to me, you had 14 seconds left.
Yep.
So a couple extra seconds of smart play on either side, because all I had to do was just run Ashlynn up and contest that zone past the clock. Alten up to contest that zone on the bottom past the clock. It would have been that last point, but it is what it is, man. It was still a great game.
I don't know what it is about our channel, but we just cannot pronounce Alten Ashley's name correctly. Like, full stop.
Screw it, he's Ashlynn.
He, she, Ashlynn, Alten, Ashley, fucking...
He can call himself whatever he wants. It's 2018.
It is. In all seriousness, like... Anyway, not important. Thanks very much for watching, folks. And we appreciate you tuning in for another episode of Arcane Assist. And we shall see you next time.
Take care, everyone.